Hello, ladies, and welcome to The Beauty Shaman. So it's almost New Year's Eve. It is almost 2020. So I thought I'd do a New Year's Eve makeup with red lip. So if you follow me, you realize I've had a little bit of a blackout in the month of December. Just by way of explanation, I now carry Jane Iredale on my website, which is superb. They normally only work with brick and mortar, and they've gone with me because of all of you. So that's phenomenal. But the downside was my web guy who's going to post all of my holiday videos. I made like 5 or 6 videos. Had a family emergency and couldn't post anything. So I couldn't post any of my videos because I didn't have any of the product on my website. So anyway, there was like a blackout. So anyway, we are back. We're back online. Okay, everything's good. This kind of stuff happens. It's life, right? You all understand this. But anyway, so all is well. Jane Iredale is now on my website. So please check that out at thebeautyshaman.com. Very, very excited to be carrying this line. I love Jane Iredale. It is clean beauty for those of you who don't know. Non-toxic, green, clean beauty. Fantastic. I've got a bunch of their products here today. I'm going to use a bunch of them in the video just to show you how to use it. So I think for older women, this is definitely the line. So super, super excited to be partnering with them. Okay. That being said, please subscribe at the bottom here on YouTube and hit the bell in order to get updates for when I upload videos, which is twice a week from now on. Okay, no more blackouts, hopefully. So, okay, great. So let's get started with the red holiday lip. Okay, got to pull my hair back. Okay, so speaking of hair, I've got a little bit of roots. If you really look closely here, you can see my little bit of roots. So for those of you who are like me that are still caving to coloring your hair, I can't color it until after I've got some new highlights put in my hair and it's got to set for a few days. You can't just go and do your roots. So anyway, I'm kind of in the middle, which everybody understands. If you've caved and if you've stopped caving and just let yourself go gray, God bless you, man. I'm just not quite there yet. I'll get there when I get sick and tired of coloring my hair every 2 weeks because that's what I have to do, which is super challenging. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so holiday look, New Year's Eve look. Okay, so to start off with you have to take care of your skin. It's always how I start videos. My favorite serum, I'm going to use that. This is Truth Treatments. I love Truth Treatments. It's one of the best skincare lines out there, in my opinion. Phenomenal. You need very, very little. Okay, so you need 2 drops of the serum. That's it. Super great. And I'm just going to use this. I'm going to blend this all over my face. This helps to plump the skin. Really awesome. Whoops, my phone's going off. You can use it around your eyes. The number one thing for you to buy for skincare, honestly, is a serum. It is the number one thing. I don't care what anybody tells you. Everything else can kind of be secondary to a great serum because serums are packed with vitamin C, nutrients, vitamins. They help minimize fine lines if you want to do that. Serums are the key thing. So if you want the Truth Treatment Serum, use the code SB10 for 10% off on my website. Okay, so that being done, good. My skin is a little bit buggered up right now. Like you can see I've got like some spots. I don't understand. Why do I keep getting spots? I think this is because I had maybe too much to drink the other night. I don't know. Sometimes that happens. Okay, so start off with foundation. So I'm going to use the Jane Iredale mineral foundation here. I love this foundation. It's a fantastic foundation. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to use the primer, the Smooth Affair primer here, in order to make it even more sheer. I do recommend for all of you to go as sheer as you can. Now I do have some spots which I'm going to cover, but I'm going to blend. I'm just going to sheer out my foundation a little bit. So I'm going to use my primer. Okay, that's like probably way too much there. Let me put some of that back. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's better. I'm going to use my primer and I'm going to mix it with my foundation. So I'm putting my foundation, okay, with my primer. Now my color in this foundation is called Warm Silk, is my color. And I'm going to blend this in with the primer. Now you have to work with the foundation a little bit because it's little beadlets that kind of break as you blend it together like this. So you do need to do this on your hand, okay? Now I'm going to use my fingers to put this on. There, you see how that all worked together? I love using my fingers to put on foundation. I do use brushes. For those of you who don't know, I'm a professional makeup artist, so of course I use brushes on people I make up. On myself, I just find, your fingers are fine. Like, wash your hands and put it on. One of the reasons people use brushes is to really get the foundation in their skin. You do not need to do that as an older woman. You want it more just as a kind of a sheer covering. You don't want it in the skin. This whole notion, it's a very younger notion. With younger skin, they can do that. With older skin, yeah, you don't want to bake anything into your face, or, it just doesn't work, right? So you can use a brush if you want, just one that's going to put it on more in a more of a sheer way. In some of my videos, I use brushes to put foundation on, so you can watch those if you're curious. So what I'm doing is I'm layering underneath my eye too. I want to use as little concealer as possible. All right, I'm going to put a little concealer on. I'm going to use Cover FX. It's a professional. You can get it at Sephora. I'll put a link down below, as I always do. But I really like Color FX a lot. This is not Clean Beauty for those of you who are devotees. But I'm going to use this one this time. So just a very light amount. I love this because it goes on sheer. Not sheer, but it goes on and blends into your skin without setting in fine lines. I really like it. So I'm going to put that here. I'm also going to take that over my lid. Again, I'm using my fingers. This is kind of a personal thing. I know a lot of you use a lot of brushes, and if you do, that's great. Go for it. I'm just tapping that into my lid. I get a little dark around here. Only put concealer around this part of your eye if it's a really, really good concealer. Otherwise, it sets in fine lines. This concealer won't do that, so I'm happy. Okay, so I've used that concealer to cover up the spots a bit. I can still kind of see those suckers. I might go back over them a little bit later. I try not to overdo it with concealer. Just really be cautious with that. You don't want to have, like this really heavy concealer look. A lot of times if you detract, like if you highlight other parts of your face, nobody's going to notice that. Okay, now I'm going to do a little bit of contour. Older women, you do not need a lot of contour. The whole contour phase of like loads and loads and loads of contour is really hard for older women to wear because we have, we've got more angles in our face. So you really want to soften everything down as you get older and make it really not strong lines on anything. Everything is very muted. I'm going to use a cream today. A cream contour. So there's my lovely age spot. I've been working at this sucker for a while. So I just use retinol gel. I have a 5% and I also have a 1% if you have more sensitive skin. I can use the 5%, which is kind of crazy because I'm pretty sensitive. But anyway, so I'm just going to put this a little bit underneath, just a bit, and just kind of lightly blend that in. And that's it. Really don't use more than that. I really am not a fan of a ton of contour. It should be about 1 to 2 shades darker than your own skin, and should have the same undertones as your skin. So say if you have a rosy undertone, get a rosy undertone contour. Don't try to do a warm undertone because it'll just look orange. It'll just be nasty, right? If you have yellow undertones like I do, then go with a warmer. But you don't want to go too orange. It really needs to be very, very, very neutral. I'm going to go a little bit underneath because I have a little bit of a dip right here. Wouldn't it be nice if I just could tap it and it'll go away, but it's not going to. So we're going to just run this underneath a little bit. If you really want a stronger chin line, that's the thing to do, is to really, put your contour a little bit, but don't go too far down. You're really just here because the sun doesn't see this, right? So just darken that just a tiny bit. I think that looks really nice. Oops, hair's falling. So I have bangs. So I do put a little bit of this. If you don't have bangs, and it depends on your forehead. If you have a smaller forehead, I probably wouldn't do this. I have a pretty good sized forehead. So I just put a little bit, and it really just sort of frames your face is all I'm going for. If you have a very, very angular face, you might even avoid that altogether. You don't need more angles, right? That's the idea of contour, is to add more dimension and angle to the face. But if you don't need it, you don't need it. All right, so moving into eyebrows, I'm just going to use a cool brown eyeshadow in here. I'm using MAC. It's called Concrete. So this is a really good cool brown. The reason I choose a cool brown is that my roots are very cool brown. If it was a warm brown, then we could use the color I'm going to use out of my palette. This is my Jane Iredale palette I'm going to use today. This is Daytime. It's called Daytime. It's a really awesome basic palette. I love this palette, actually. I think I've used it quite a bit because I'm just like, oh my God, this has got everything you need for just like a good kind of solid daytime look. But it has a warmer brown in here. And I think that brown is too warm. Like you can see the difference, right? It's a warm brown. And that's kind of a charcoal, which my hair isn't charcoal. If you have gray hair or a dark gray, that would be perfect. And if you've got your hair colored about that color, I try to stick to whatever your roots are. Whatever, not my roots like in this way, but like, you know, from here to here. I have highlights, so I don't want to match those. I want to match my roots. So I'm just gonna do the outer edge. Now, you know, some of you probably want to know how to use a pencil in your eyebrow, and I will do tutorials on that, but I typically use shadow because it's just very natural looking. I really like that. So I don't fill in all my eyebrow because I don't want I've already got heavy brows. I don't need any more heaviness, you know, otherwise I look like Groucho Marx. So I just sort of like lightly fill in the end just to give it a little bit of more shape, just to really make my face pop, okay? All right, so now we're gonna do lips. And the reason I do lips next is because I wanna get that, I don't wanna use too much eyeshadow. I wanna be sure I'm not overdoing the eyeshadow. Now we're gonna use a red lip today. So we're using Jane Iredale Gwen. This is called Gwen. This is the Jane Iredale container, but it has a little magnetic to it. So when you, whoop, isn't that cool? All right, so this is Gwen, which I think is absolutely delicious, right? I've been wearing this quite a bit because I love red lipstick. I'm a huge red lipstick fan. I'm going to actually, normally I do lipstick and then lip liner because I want to have a soft line. Today I'm going to do the opposite and I'm going to blend it in. Okay, so I'm going to start with my bow. Go underneath. And then you get the balance right. Especially when you're using dark colors, it's really important that you, you know, get that right, yeah? Because it really stands out. I can talk while I do this. It's kind of crazy. Now Gwen. Ha! I get very excited about lipstick, I have to say. I have so many lipsticks. If you guys could see how many lipsticks I have, you would probably lock me up. I have issues with lipstick. I dropped my bag recently at the studio and like 10 lipsticks came rolling out of my bag. Yeah. So I feel very glamorous in this lipstick. It's just something about red. Some of you are scared of red. I would definitely encourage you to give it a go. Even with silver hair, white hair, red can be so glamorous and so beautiful. It can also be too much. So there's this, you know, there's these fine lines that I love to dabble in. You know, I've got dark hair, so I can really pull this off. And again, you can pull it off more with, even with silver hair. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of blush. This is Dubonnet. Let me just open it. There's Dubonnet. This is a Jane Iredale Clean Beauty. I like this because it's just not, it's got brown in it. You know, it's great to wear with red. Works really well. You pretty much want to go with a neutral, warm tone with red so that it doesn't compete. Otherwise, it's just too much. So don't wear pinks or cool undertones with red lipstick. Even with a cherry red, okay? This is quite blue, this red. But it's a bright, bright lipstick. I might come back and touch the blush a little bit more later, but for now we're going to leave it at that. All right, so let's do eyes. Okay, again, I showed you this already, but I'm going to show it again. This is the Naturally Matte eyeshadow palette. So for your New Year's Eve party that you need to look especially glamorous, this is fantastic. So I'm going to take kind of this brush, and I'm going to use, oh no, tell a lie, I'm going to use this brush. So this is a flathead brush, very flat and dense. So this is really going to pick up quite a lot of product. And I'm going to put it in this color here. Now these are all neutrals, which is super important because otherwise it competes with the red. So I really want to stay in the neutral range. Now I'm going to put this all over my lid, and I'm going to pull it up just a bit. So I have really small lids. I might even have hooded lids actually, if you really are technical about it. So I'm going to pull this up. With hooded lids or small lids, you always want to just kind of pull it up a bit. So really pretty all over the lid. Now I'm going to take this brush. So this is a goat hair. This is, I think, MAC brush. Yes, this is a MAC brush. And I'm going to use this color in the middle here, okay? So this has got a little bit more of a, it's not cooler, but it's a little bit more of like a taupey, but a warm taupe. And I'm going to just put this on the outer edge. I'm going to run it a little bit over my lid and on the outer edge. And just to get that little bit of a shade in there to give it a little bit of dimension. Just kind of pulling it up. Keeping it off my lid, because with smaller lids, you kind of got to do that. If you have really big lids, oh, go to town. Like Maggie Smith. I'm a huge Maggie Smith fan. I love the British actors. Okay, now I'm going to use the warm tone here. This really kind of rich, warm color. This looks really beautiful with blue eyes, green eyes. You can wear it with brown eyes too. Really nice. And I'm just going to pull it right next to the eyelash line and up a bit on that outer edge. And I'm using a slanted brush here. I find these really easy to work with. I believe this is a MAC brush. Just really simple for doing eyebrows and liner right next to your lashes. I'm going to pull this up a little bit more, but I'm getting it right next to my lashes, okay? So that's really nice. I really like that. It's very soft, but has a lot of pigment to it. And I'm going to pull it up a little tiny bit because we're going for a little bit of glamour, so we're going to pull that just a bit. And I'm also going to use a very, very small amount underneath. Really small amount, okay? Because otherwise your eye will look, it's almost too much sometimes for older women to wear color all the way around the eye. So I'm just very lightly putting it around my eyeball. It's a little bit of a smoky look in all honesty. Okay, so I've done that liner. Now I'm going to do an eyeliner gel liner. So this is a Jane Iredale eyeliner called Mystical. So it comes with a little brush in it like that. And you can see it's just a gel. It's a gel liner. So I did my eyeshadow first because I really wanted it to be sort of smoky. And then I'm going to put the gel on top. So I'm just going to go right next to the edge of my lashes with this. Now these are great because you can put them on and then you can blend them. You have to be fast, right? Because they dry like any other gel liner. But these are non-toxic, which is super awesome. So I'm going to go right next to my lashes and especially on the outer edge. Now if I do it this way with the shadow first and then the liner, you don't have to be as careful with the liner to try to get it straight, which can sometimes be a bit challenging. But this brush, you can flatten it or you can turn it sideways to get a really narrow line. So it's handy. It's a handy little brush actually. And I'm really giving that outer edge some attention. So you can see it's made it more deep, which is what I want. Now I'm going to blend them with this brush, very small little brush here. Just going to blend it a little bit because I really want this to be soft because my lips are so like, whoa. So we're going to soften up the eyeshadow as much as we can. Just run this over the top. You can also do this with the slanted brush, but I'm just using this because it's a little softer. For hooded eyes, it's really helpful to just pull that up a little bit just to give you a bigger space. It's like cheating what people look at, right? Just trying to highlight that. And I'm just putting it on the inner eye. I can also take this and go a little bit here. You know, this can be dicey. honestly, when you're putting highlight on your cheekbone, because sometimes it can set in fine lines, so just be careful. Or like you see how this brought out my darkness right here a little bit, right? Because I've gone lighter. So just be mindful of that. Okay, just a little bit of powder. So I've got some Christian Dior powder. This is actually a really old palette I found. It has a tiny bit of a rose tint to it, which I love for my light skin. For dark skin, you can go with a powder that has a little tiny bit of like warmth to it, or almost a copper. So pretty. Can really, especially if you're only using it in the T-zone, right? Because I'm only going to just use that around my eyes just a little bit. Just to, you still see that spot a little bit. That's kind of irritating, isn't it? All right, so now I put a little bit of powder just so it isn't so glowy. Be really, really careful about powder, because powder can so easily just be too much on older skin. So just be really super careful. So I powdered this, and now I'm touching it again with a little bit of concealer, which is fine. Go back. All right, let's do a little mascara. Maybelline Great Lash. I know, it's my favorite. You know, I've never been a big mascara connoisseur, honestly. I've just kind of been with this mascara for so long. If you have any mascaras that you particularly like that you want to mention down below, I'd love to hear that. So this is my New Year's Eve 2020 red lipstick look. I'd love to hear what you guys think of this. If you have any questions, please write it down below. I love red lipstick. I'm going to do like hundreds of these red lipstick videos just because I love it so much. It's so glamorous and so beautiful, and you can wear it as an older woman. Do not give up hope, okay? It's fine. You can do it. So thank you so much for watching The Beauty Shaman, and have a phenomenal 2020.